Hi friends, Julie Cotton here. I wanted to come on and do a quick, brief intro to the different types of massage that I offer and kind of explain a little bit about each one. So on a scale of like dense, most dense to light, so this would be like, dense would be like surgery, three-dimensional, deep tissue, rolfing, things like that, all the way over to the more light or etheric things where like cranial sacral or even energy work, right? So depending on where in the body, in the energetic system of the human body, it's held, if it's very physical and dense, then we want to use those more dense tools over here, like sports massage or deep tissue or trigger point therapy. If it's more in the fascia and the connective tissue, that would be more like cranial sacral therapy is great. Cranial sacral has to do with the fluid exchange from the cranium or the head down into the pelvis or the sacrum, right? And the spine, the brain and spinal cord. I think I have some images here, right? So kind of the brain and spinal cord, right? So we want to like the grand central station or command center, right? So if we've had a trauma, and that could be something as simple as being born. When we're born, there's compression to the skull. We're still forming the sutures of our cranium or our skull. They haven't come together yet, so there can be compression that happens. People that have been in car accidents would really benefit from craniosacral therapy or dental work, any dental work you've had done, because that's going to pull on the fascia in and around the head, right? And so there's a fluid exchange that happens around the spinal cord. That fluid is the cerebral spinal fluid, and when we get trauma or impact or compression up here, so you see with my face, if I pull up here, it goes all the way down into my jaw, right? So like if I have a shirt or a sheet, if I pull up here, if I put the kink up here, it's going to translate all the way down kind of into my hip. Same kind of thing with the fascia in and around the sleeve of the spine. So we want to open up where there might be kinks in the fascia. And fascia is more like, it's lighter, it's more delicate. It's connective tissue, so fascia is around everything. It's around all of our blood vessels, it's around all of our muscles, it's around all of our organs, it's around everything. And so if we can, I liken it to like a sleeve. If somebody were to wear a sleeve around your shirt, right? Like, so the sleeve is that light cloth on top, right? That's kind of the fascia. And the sleeve's only so big. If anybody has ever bought a shirt that's too small for them, you know that you can't shove more tissue into the sleeve than you have, right? Like if I try to fit into a size, a 2-year-old's shirt, it won't work, right? So it's similar with our muscles. If we want to get stronger muscles, we have to address the fascia, which is that connective tissue, and make sure it's nice and loose and it can move and it's pliable. Anyway, so that's where something like craniosacral therapy, dealing with that fascial layer that's more light, helps us to actually have more function over here in the more dense level where now the muscles that I want to build underneath there, the strength, has more capability. So there are certain times where it's important to get the muscles, if they're tight, if you had a good workout, if you're working on an event like a marathon, you're training and you want to open up and get your range of motion back, you already have blood flow coming in, you're strong, you're an athlete, sports massage, great. Deep tissue is like getting in there and like keeping the mobility going. Trigger point therapy is, sorry, somebody was calling. Trigger point therapy is when we have knots in our muscles of all kinds. We get them everywhere. They're basically knots that have been there for a long time. So they're in that level of fascia. There's a pattern of pain that signals. So if anybody's ever had a headache, sometimes headaches aren't even coming from the head. They're coming from muscles. Ooh, which is this whole chart here. These charts are all about, let me turn it around. It's easier for me to, I don't know if I can turn around. So these are trigger point charts that I use frequently. When somebody tells me that they have a pain pattern, I'm like, okay, where is your pain? Where is your headache? Because look at all these different kinds of headaches that we can get, right? And so depending on where the headache is, that'll tell me where I would like to go and look for a knot. So let's say, this is super common. There we go. This one is super common because whiplash especially, like the head gets flung to the side or forward and back, and this muscle will grip a hold of the back of the skull to keep the head on. Well, when that happens, though, we can get these trigger points in here, and then they would refer and give you a headache in and around the eye Or if it was on this part of the muscle, then it would be in the ear. It's like tinnitus, ringing of the ears. Tinnitus could be coming from this tight muscle. Sometimes there's a headache that shoots across the eyebrow. So I'm looking for, with trigger point therapy, I'm listening and I'm looking at the client's body position and like, I bet there's a tightness here, or like I kind of like am looking at that. So that's a lot. There's also reflexology, right? Reflexology. So reflexology has more to do with what like Dr. Natalie is doing with acupuncture, the meridian lines. The reflexology is the end of those meridians in the hands and the feet, right? And so sometimes we can help impact the internal organ system, like the heart, the lungs. If there is sciatic nerve issue or headaches or things like that, I can use these charts as an indicator. I can go down and do work on those areas without actually touching those areas too. So many options. This was way longer than a minute. However, there were lots of things. Hopefully that provides some clarity. If you're like, Julie, there's so many different things you do, I don't know which one I want. Come see me. We can just book a session, and then we can figure out what technique. The toolbox is available, and we'll just pull out whatever your system would need or benefit from the most. Thanks so much.